Welcome to Progressive Mindset Podcast. My name is Natalie Potts, business coach and mentor, and each week I'll be bringing you an inspiring personal message to help you unlock creating and living a life full of energy, action, impact and happiness. And today I am welcoming on another coach, Jake Connolly. Jake and I discuss how he helps people who are introverts. He talks about his journey of getting into coaching, and he talks about how he has struggled himself with being an introvert, but now using it as his strength. This is a great episode. Enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really privileged to have you on. Share a little bit with everyone about yourself, your niche, how you got into coaching, anything that comes to mind.
Okay, yeah, great. So I'm trying to think where to start, but I'll start from sort of when I was a bit, younger, going into sort of college, university. When I was younger, the idea of when I was younger, it was just like you go to school, go to college, go to university, and then your life's planned out for you. Then you have a career, and then you sort of settle down to that sort of things. You get these things in your head, but then that sort of, I was very naive to probably think on things, and I was very shocked when I came out of university that it wasn't going to be that easy, And I think as well, going to university, I chose to do a course just because I was interested in sports. So I was like, well, I'll just do sports therapy because that sounds interesting, and I think I could do that. So I did that course, and then I came out thinking, like, I'll get a job, and then we'll go from there, and it'll all plan out. But like I said, it didn't work out that way, and then I needed a job. Then I needed an income, so I got a job in a factory. I knew someone who worked there, so it was get a job in there, and then it was just so unfulfilling and things. But then I was thinking, well, I've just gone to university and I don't really know what I want to do now. So I got a job in the factory, and then I went through a phase for a good few years of just switching jobs, just because I got bored really, and I just felt really unfulfilled, but I didn't really know how to step up and where I wanted to go in life. It was just, I knew I was capable of so much more, but I was like stuck at that level of just being in these jobs. And no disrespect, those jobs were really good. I learned so much in a lot of those jobs, and they've obviously given me a lot from it, and I'm always grateful for that. But deep down, it was very like stressful as well, because I knew I wanted more, but I just didn't know where to start. So I was in this a job a few years ago. It was like helping people claim PPI and that type of stuff, and I was in that for 2 years, and I really don't know how I lasted that long, really. But then one day we got an email, and it's from the manager, and he said that a life coach will be coming in. Would anyone be interested to speak to him? So I'd never heard of it before, really. So, but my curiosity just took over. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So I said, yeah. Had a couple of chats with him, and it just seemed, really up my street, just something that I could really get into. And then I actually went home and just did more research, and then that's when I came across the coaching academy. So I signed up to the 2-day free events that they do, and that was in Manchester. And then I went to that, and then that was it. Then it was just, I was hooked on it. And up until that point, I'd never really read any books at all. But then I got into like self-development, and I started reading, all different books and things. And it's the first time I've actually enjoyed a book the whole way through. And that was why I got into it. And then since then, I've just been sort of just trying to get better, just figure out, the people I want to help as well. And even it's helped not only me find something that I want to do to help impact others, but also the impact it's had on me as well. I've been able to just gain that self-awareness and just understand who I am, and just be the best I can be, really. It's just helped me just improve my mindset as well. So yeah, it's been a really fascinating journey, and it's crazy to think back. I was just felt really stuck for that time, and now I feel like I'm just on like the right path now. And although I do obviously have challenges and things, it's just, I feel like I have something to aim for, and I'm doing something that's bigger than me. I've always wanted to do something that has that impact as well on other people. So yeah,
it's amazing how your energy and tones just shifted just in that storytelling there of where you were at in that. unknown, not sure what to do, just kind of rolled with it like most of us do. Very much resonates with myself, to the feeling and emotional, that intangible feeling that we have when we're talking about actions and goals, as to the love you have for coaching. And very much like I said, that resonates. I was very, very similar. I actually didn't hate what I was doing, but I just gone to uni, and I did drama and stuff, loved it, but I didn't want to commit to doing volunteering in terms of experience for drama and all of that jazz. I just wanted to get out and earn money at that age. And then I guess later in life, then it got a bit that I was a bit seeking this. Oh, there's a gap. And then when coaching came about, like yourself, like you just get that feeling, and that's the biggest part when I work with clients, is raising their awareness and doing things like that. Saying, have you noticed a shift there? Obviously it's a question, but then I might allude to, what does that tell you? What does that show you? What do you notice by seeing that change in yourself? It's phenomenal. And like you say, sometimes so many people still don't know about coaching. It's absolutely phenomenal. Well, it is and it isn't. It's a bit like, I think everybody knows about podcasts, and people bring me in to say that not everybody does read or do podcasts that you do. And I'm like, fair enough. You become very, like, again, you become cocooned in the world that you're in, even though it sometimes feels like it's a small world at times. You very much do, and you forget that people haven't found their purpose in life. You forget that people don't know what coaching is, that they're not as happy as they want to be, that they want to be more positive. You forget that they're not in worlds where environments are just full of positive people that want to, like-minded, in those communities. So you do have to come back to reality at points as well. And I think it's really important what you share there around your self-development as well as helping others. You said that impact it's had is absolutely key. And I always say that they're not solo. You can't just be working on your business. You can't solely be working on yourself. You've got to be building a business and or working in your business, or any business actually that you're in and you love, and working on yourself. You've got to be practicing both and mastering the craft at both. And I guess, like you said, this is probably understanding yourself, and we'll know through the personality profiling that we've done. How have you understood yourself when you look back at that time of university and coming out to where you are now, since you started coaching?
I guess that it's more, I think I've focused on, like I said, about reading books and things before. I've been reading books and listening to like podcasts, and even practicing coaching things as well. I felt like you get those sort of insights and able to reflect on where you are in your life, if that makes sense. It's been, I think as well, this might not be completely linked to it, but I feel like working on your mindset, you've also got to work on keeping yourself fit and things as well, because it links in to both. And I've made sure that I wouldn't say I'm in the best shape in the world, but I've made sure that I kept fit, because when I was in university and when I was younger, I was overweight and things like that, and obviously that really didn't help. But since I sort of got into that coaching and self-development, it's actually just listen to those people who are experts in the self-development world and things like that, reading those books.
Perspective, isn't it?
Exactly. It shifts your perspective, and then you can apply. That's the thing as well. It's okay reading and listening to things, and you've got to actually apply those things as well that you take from it. Because although it's great reading or listening, if you just keep listening to things and you just go about your day as what you would usually, you're not going to grow. You've got to take that step and really understand what you're reading or listening to, and apply it yourself in whatever way relates to you and resonates with you as well.
And they say like repetition is the mother of learning, which for sure. So this week it was interesting, actually. I put a post out, and you'll always, by engagement, and it's not stuck on this idea, because obviously there's algorithms and everything that's almost out of control as well with some things on social media. But it got more engagement, and it was around the kind of the regrets we'll have in life when we get older, and one of them was really around that you won't have had a life that feels that you were truly authentic to yourself and found purpose. And yeah, lots of people responding to it, replying, and the engagement part, and sharing their thoughts, comments. So I thought, well, I'm going to put it in my email, my weekly email newsletter I do again. And I just thought, well, I don't want it to look like I've just dumped it in there quick, you know, it's very automated, all that jazz. So I did a bit of commentary and just said, look, you might have actually seen this week. However, repetition again, you will take something different from this by rereading it, by understanding it a different way, by seeing it on a different day, you know, by having a different approach to your day, whether you've woken up in a good mood compared to you might have woken up in a not so good mood. So, and you know, your energy. So I said, I invite you to reread this and capture maybe new learnings or something else. And I think what I like about what I'm seeing from yourself as well is that we are so much on this hamster wheel all the time, rush, 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 you know, not prioritizing. It used to be just, you know, what's your priority? And people added this priority. So now we just don't have one priority. We have like dozens. We just
list stuff.
And this is why it baffles me sometimes when, well, I find it quite amusing actually, more I say than baffling, when clients get to the end of a coaching session, they're like, oh, what have I got 3 actions? And it's like, yeah, I know. We'll go and do those 3 perfectly. And, you know, and then, you know, that is great because again, like we will compound ourselves with so much more than we need to, opposed to really slowing down and simplifying and doing those with quality. And I've just read this book, Essentialism. It's absolutely phenomenal if you haven't read it. I can't remember the guy's second name. It's Greg someone, I think, someone. And it's amazing. And again, there's a few kind of moments where I was like, I haven't thought of it in that way before. On the whole, again, like most things, we know a lot of it. We just need to, again, bring that into our focus or where we're at in that moment in time. But it was really, again, just focusing on, again, the simplification of everything and not, you know, it's around the discipline for less is more. And I think that when you start to understand yourself very well, you can really look at how you approach business, life, and everything, and that's absolutely key then in how we get the most out of our days and how we show up to things. I know we've alluded to a bit before, you and I, in discussion, like an introvert, extrovert, and personality profiling. Share a bit more around something you shared today around being kind of an introvert, what you've learned around that.
So I mean, when I was younger, like I've always been sort of very introverted anyway, but when I was younger I was so shy and just I had very little confidence and self-belief and things. And I think I made, when I was in school, I think I made friends quite easy. I was just always sort of at the back or whatever, but I still managed to sort of get into, you know, groups of, you know, good friends and things, and people around me who actually, for whatever reason, enjoyed being with me, even though I was quiet. But as like, compared to myself now, you know, I'm so much more confident in things, but I'm still that sort of introverted person. I like spending time on my own and just reflecting and things and doing things on my own. And as much as I love being around, you know, close friends and family and things like that, but I'm still that sort of same person. It's just I'm a lot more outgoing than probably what I was. But that it affected me when I was younger, because, and as I was maybe even going into university, because I felt like it was like a limitation. I seen it as a limitation, really. I didn't see how I could be successful. If that, like, I mean, I've got a different sort of opinion on success now anyway, but at the time it was just like, I was comparing myself to the extroverts, who maybe the leaders who were very just outgoing, and just, I felt like you had to be that type of person to be a leader and be successful. And even things like doing presentations, I hated doing stuff like that. It was the worst nightmare, you know, getting in front of people. But then I really knocked myself when I did try it and do them, but they were really bad. But then I was like, well, I'm a failure. I'm really just not good at this. So I definitely seen that as a limitation for a long time. But then it was when I got into coaching and self-development that I started getting more confidence and self-belief in myself, and then I was able to just acknowledge that this is who I am. I don't need to change to be successful or be a leader. I can actually impact other people just by being myself, and just showing up as the best version of me. Because if I try and change to fit in and be like an extrovert leader, it's just, people would find me out. Then it's just like I'd be putting on something for just for the sake of trying to get somewhere, when really I can actually be just as successful as anyone who's an extrovert. And it took me a long time to sort of get to that place, but now I just embrace it, and I absolutely, we need that as well. It's just that diversity of people. If everyone was an extrovert or everyone was an introvert, it'd be very boring, I think, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And I always say to the team that if you're all the same, we'd be the same team. We need people to have different ideas. We need creativity, diversity. We need, different energy through the team, and a different, level of challenge and thought process on things. You can't have one. It's actually quite detrimental, I think, to businesses. It's really interesting. Where do you think with yourself, though, that comes? Because that's it's a motivation you must have, but it's a discipline as well, isn't it, to keep going with that and to persevere through, like you say, being very, very uncomfortable. I can imagine from what you've said. And not giving up as such in that pursuit of, I really do want this. Where's that kind of, what's your why almost then, I guess, is the question to ask.
Okay, that's interesting. I think going back again, this is just the story I've got. When I was younger, I was like primary school, I think maybe year 2, I think something like that. And there was this day I went into, my mum got called in basically, and just so she could have a chat, and I was in the class at the same time. And I remember her saying that I was, to my mum, that I was behind everyone else in class. And I heard that, and then I think that stuck with me as like, oh, maybe I'm not good. And then from there, I had this sort of fear of failing. I just never took any risks, and I was then scared of being judged. I felt like, well, if I was already behind everyone, if I say something and it's wrong, then it's even worse than what I had this sort of, story in my head. And then, like I said, I was already sort of shy and things anyway, but I think that really knocked me even more. But then my mum, like, oh, God bless her, like, I'm not religious at all, but like she always said when I was younger, like, God loves a try. She always like drilled that into me every time I did something. She was like, God loves a try, like, just try your best. So then that always stuck with me then. And I just, even though I still had that fear of failure when I was younger, I always just give everything, 100%. And I felt like I just had this, I don't know, this fire in my belly. And maybe I was trying to prove her wrong when she was saying that, and other people wrong, and maybe trying to prove myself right as well, that I was actually capable of more. So then, as like I said, I was growing up, I still was very low self-esteem, confidence and things. Like I said, I was overweight and things. And my why basically is I want to be that person that I needed when, not necessarily when I was a kid, but even just anyone going through that who maybe doesn't feel good enough, or is struggling with the confidence or self-belief.
Well, it's a limiting belief, isn't it, that you had created because someone's giving you something at a young stage. And I guess when we're younger, although they say we're kind of programmed by 7, and I'm not sticking on that, I've not done that side of it. I hear that's an idea of what how we're conditioned. But when you think then of so many people are hooked up or limiting themselves, whatever you want to call it, back to myself, like everybody is something in our past, isn't it? My one big thing was about my weight, overweight kid, and the comments I used to get, and then people, even comments that were deemed to be nice by people, like, oh, you've lost weight, was like, oh my God, what do I look like? That it did the opposite effect. And I know through, I've had hypnotherapy, and I've had RTT, rapid transformation therapy, which puts you into a state of hypnosis and it takes you back to your past.
Mhm.
And it's really crazy amazing, by a lady called Marissa Peer. And what it does is it brings up moments, and you know, you in your mind you're sitting there thinking, you know, it's closed and everything, but you're sitting there thinking, no, nothing's going to come to light. Then suddenly something does. And I remember that it was a couple of instances of school where I was told off for something once, and that scares me on certain things still. And again, the weight thing took me back to a time, I remember when this person said this.
Yeah.
So really interesting. But what I like from that is, like you said, you know, go back to your why, is the fact that you said your mum said, you know, like God loves a tryer. And
Yeah.
and I always say this around confidence, that I think sometimes confidence is actually, we can be more confident by having people around us or taking acknowledgement of those moments when people are believing in us.
Yeah.
And I say that because I was thinking about how I helped someone with confidence once. I was just like, you know, just, oh, look, I believe in you, go and do it. And I was like, oh, it's so easy for me to say that, though. It's really easy. That person actually hasn't walked away any more confident. She's not going to rock up tomorrow and be like, hi, and bursting with the confidence she needs to suddenly hit her day. It's just not going to happen overnight. And so I had to take this away and think about, how do I approach this differently to help her? And I listened to lots of things. I was just thinking it through, and I thought, what it is it's, I have been most confident in my life when people have said, I believe in you, or, you know, they've said, you did that amazing because X, and I've understood what they mean, and I've understood how I've showed up and been the best I can be in that. And that's not about, you know, like ticking the boxes, pat myself on the back, but it is about taking the time to say, where am I showing up really well? What am I doing well? And then how do I build on that in areas where I'm probably not? Or how can I use that to help me feel better about myself from a self-esteem perspective and confidence perspective, use those strengths and then use them in places where I need to get better. And I think that's, like you say there, that when you've got that person that's saying that, it makes a huge difference. And this is why I would always say, no matter how much you believe it, your environment massively changes how your life is. And that's the environment in terms of bringing people into that as well. You know, they massively change, like yourself and I, like circling yourself and having conversations that are rich and authentic and are full of energy and not negative. It's like negativity breeds negativity, you know.
100%. Yeah.
All of that is, you know, it's contagious. So it's really interesting that you say that. And I guess that then those become part of your why, don't they, in terms of knowing that, yeah, look, that worked for me then, I'm going to keep doing that now, because there's something missing for me, there's something doesn't feel good, and I need to turn that to a good. And that comes your discipline.
100%. Yeah, like just going back to that, what you said about the you know, the strengths and things, it's that evidence, isn't it, of what you are good at and things, and being able to acknowledge that, because like you said, you might say to someone, oh, go on, I believe in you, can do it, but then if you say that, there's no like evidence there of, well, what makes you think I can do it? But when you've got actually real evidence of, well, you've done this whenever in the past or something, and it got you to this, so, you know, how can you apply that to this situation as well?
So just share a little bit around where your niche, who are the people that you do help?
So it is introverts, so it's the introverts, and I do want to help them. My sort of niche is helping them understand themselves, really, because again, that was something I didn't really understand who I was, and helping them to understand who they are, so they can basically just thrive in life and just be authentic to themselves, and build towards a more, you know, fulfilling career, and live with purpose, really. So that's who I want to help. But I'm ambitious as well, ambitious introverts, I'd say.
We're starting on their journey now to kind of looking at self-development, wanting to get into books. What would you share with them that would be your tips of advice? I
would just say, this might be like I don't know, it's like a cop-out answer, but curiosity for me is like it's a big thing. It's like something I value really highly, and I know probably I did sometimes get lost in, maybe I should read this or listen to this or do this, whatever it might be. But just be curious about just be curious, and just, you might not like a certain thing, but at least you've tried it. There's so many things out there, and you can get lost in taking so much like content in, but just take it one step at a time and just be curious and just enjoy, getting better and moving. I think that just moving, striving to be better and just being that 1% better, every day. And however you want to do, like whether it's books, podcasts, or there's so many other things that we're so lucky now. We've got loads of things online you can look at, but it's I think you just need to just be curious and just enjoy it and just think this could be for me and just give it a go. That's what I'd say.
And I think what you share is that it's not overnight. It is a journey, and embrace that and love that. And again, I mentor lots of people that, like, how do I get this grade? How do I get that money? And it's like, what's the why? What's the what's the feeling you want to feel? Why are you working towards this? What's it going to bring you? What's your real motivation, as opposed to being maybe tangible money things as such? And I think you said at the start around being curious as well, and I noted down just, it's that interesting things, isn't it? Interest in others as well, and showing that and building relationships.
100%.
And the intent you have for what you do. That's such a good thing as well. Like, what's your intention every day of what you want to achieve? What are you going to be saying to yourself? What can you give back? Those are the types of questions, and I guess they're the parts that will get our, that tummy feeling, isn't it? And that buzz.
Yeah,
you do.
Exactly. And that's, for me, that's like the definition I was saying about before about success. For me, like, success is being able to actually just look in the mirror and say, actually be honest with yourself. How have I improved today? How have I got better? And it's not about maybe earning a certain amount of money or whatever it is, a house, whatever it might be, material things, or just a certain job. It's about being able to look at yourself and say, have I done, what have I done well today, and maybe what haven't I done so well, and reflecting on that, and then just trying to be better every day. And there's times when you can go through really bad times, and you have to deal with things that just can come up out of the blue, and it's not like nice at all, certain things, but it's looking and saying, have I done my best in the current circumstance?
When you know yourself, you'll know how to deal with those situations so much better. I know that sometimes, like, I'm having last week I was having a bit of a day where I was just constantly at my PC, and I was like, oh God, like, I need to get some fresh air. And you have to change your state, or you've got to do something different, but it becomes easier because you're like, well, you know what you need to do, what makes you tick.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that is really powerful in itself as well. And it's that exploration, and I guess we can assume that everybody knows, well, you know what you need to do to do it, but people, that's the point, people say things but they don't do it. It's what's stopping people, and it's that in between part, isn't it? Sometimes it can unpack, how do we do that? What would you tell your younger self when you look back? I mean, because you seem to me like somebody, I look at you and think, blimey, I wish I'd seen the way you see things at that age as well. So what would you tell your younger self?
Yeah, see, it's funny you should say that as well, because I think even, you said about, I think I listened to a bit of your last podcast, and you were saying about how you wish you'd have got into it when you were a bit younger and things, and I think I even thought that as well. I was like, I'm too old for this, and then you think, I'm too young for this, because other coaches out there are a bit old. It's amazing what your mind thinks of. But let me think. So what would I say to my younger self?
Yeah.
Don't get lost in worrying too much about looking into the future and looking ahead. It's like I got so caught up that even I felt stuck, and I got so frustrated, and just didn't like where I was at that time in my life. But it was actually, I needed that, because I needed that to learn and actually understand who I was. But I got so caught up in thinking, well, I want to be here and I want to be there, and I think that made me feel a lot worse. It made me feel probably more stuck. I actually just need to enjoy where I was and actually embrace it, and just think, okay, this is where I am. How can I just get better right now? What can I do right now to move forward? And again, I probably compared myself to other people. I was thinking, well, I want to be doing what they're doing, or just that comparison as well. So I would say just enjoy every minute of what you've got now, and be grateful for what you've actually got, and just, again, comes out of the curiosity. Just stay curious, just enjoy things, and it'll all fall into place eventually. As long as you're trying to be better, it might feel like you're never going to get to a position or somewhere that you think you want to be, but as long as you're trying to move forward, there's no way you can stay stuck anyway. It might not be how you plan it, but you'll get somewhere that you can actually be proud of, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's just enjoying the moment, I think.
You a perfectionist?
I think I still am to a certain extent, but not as much as I probably was. I think I am working on that, but I do struggle with that. I think, even now with me coaching and things, and even putting content out there, there's times when I've gone, it just doesn't feel right, it needs to be better, and I've maybe wanted to post something on a day, but I've gone, I can maybe add a bit more to that, and I've left it another day.
I think you're right. I think you're great on curiosity. I think the risk we could have with curiosity is that we allow it to actually cover up procrastination, and they were being curious, but actually it's a bit like, when people say, I've listened to loads of podcasts, brilliant, what action, exactly what you said, what action have you taken? Because to make yourself feel productive, but you're not. So it's an interesting point. I say that because you're very reflective, and you're very coachable. I can tell you reflect, and I think that's great, because again, a lot of people do, and some people will feel very awkward in a silence, where I love it when a client has a silence for a while, because it shows me that they're really thinking and they're really taking the time. And I'll say to some people that this is your moment, this might be your hour, whatever our time frame is, of complete isolation from anything in your world, and this is about you being safe, chilling out, enjoying the moment, really exploring, really challenging yourself to think about, where am I at and where do I want to be, those goalposts, and really looking at that. And I think that when people take the time again to slow down, it's uncomfortable, it's really hard, because we're not naturally tuned into being that way. It's just not DNA anymore as people. We're just so, like I said, the hamster wheel, fast. What's next? I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to have a routine, I've got to have plan. It's just too much at times. You just need to slow it down. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here saying that I live a life like that. I am on the boat the whole time. I find it really hard to switch off. But I'm very conscious of making those changes, I guess, in myself. So it's really interesting what you shared there about curiosity. But I do believe, and that's not to hold you back on, to challenge yourself and say, I don't want you to go away thinking maybe I'm too much. It's just interesting, isn't it, to think about, what does that mean to me? I love that question so much. What does that mean to you? Getting people to think differently around that, because you can't assume. And it's been really interesting recently. I've been looking a lot of failing fast. And again, that mindset of how we see failure. And I asked some people that I worked with, I gave them out a questionnaire about behaviours and how I show up for them in terms of leadership. And I always think I'm pretty good on, just give it a go, let's get it wrong once, don't do it a second or third time. And I was reflecting on this, because they said that when it said about failing fast and that feeling that freedom to do failure, do I do that? And they were like, not sure some of the time. And I was like, well, that's interesting, because I think I do. However, when you look at actually really dissecting that and understanding it and speaking with them on it, and understanding, well, what can they see? Maybe the language I'm using, or by the fact I'm saying, give it a go, but don't do it 2 or 3 times. And I deliberately use that tone then. Is too forceful, and actually isn't creating an environment where it is go and fail. Give it a go, but fail fast. Let's try it out. I need to change up what I'm doing there some way, because how I'm pitching it and leading that isn't working, and doing it in a way that allows them to feel free on that. And I also think I need to ask more around what failure means to them, and not assume that we all think the same. Hence why I think that question is so powerful. What does that mean to you?
Yeah.
And I think the same with curiosity. If we can find out, well, actually, Jake, what does curiosity, what does that mean to you in your own development?
Yeah.
What does it mean in your business? And then kind of conceptualize that more to tangible things.
Yeah, you're spot on as well. It's actually made me reflect on that, because as much as like I've probably banged on about curiosity loads, it's like it probably, especially when I got into sort of that self-development things, I was like, oh, try this, try that, and rather than me actually doing actions that I needed to probably do, it was just like, oh well, I could learn this instead, or whatever, and just put that to the side, when really I just need to take some action. So that it's made me think that actually now as well. So
and that's where it's really interesting, because then you'll ask the question on that, and sometimes this is what I love about coaching, that it's a self-awareness part. And when I'm mentoring coaches, it's hilarious, because often I just find they're more wrapped up in their own mind chat than actually the client. And I was like, you have to remember, this is all about, all you're doing is raising awareness of your client. It's their agenda, not yours. So stop overthinking yourself. Just ask them the right questions. Ask the right questions, and allow that conversation to just happen, and trust yourself with that. It's just going to certain people come onto the podcast and bless, anybody does it, and it's absolutely fine. I get it, but what do I need to do? What do I need to know? And let's just talk. Like, where do we lose that? Just impro. Just flow and trust yourself. And I always say this to clients, just trust yourself with things. See what works, see what doesn't work. Just keep bouncing it off and giving it a go. And so it's interesting, and it'd be that awareness part of, I'd then ask you kind of for that curiosity, that, well, what does that show you? What does that tell you? What do you notice about that? When that's reflective and powerful, isn't it? And that's when you get that shift.
Exactly. It's exploring it, just that, like you said there, about worrying about what to ask, or it's just, when you say, it's just diving deep into what they're saying, isn't it? And just a question and then another question. It's just, I was saying that curious again, but it's just being curious about what they're saying, and just trying to understand it more, and just being
unpacking it, isn't it?
The moment. Yeah, exactly. And just wanting to know exactly what's going on, because when you ask them, they might not have even been asked that question before, or even thought about it themselves. So then they're able to go, it's like that light bulb moment, and then reflect and actually say it out loud. And it could be the first time that they've actually ever done that. And that's where the magic happens then, isn't it? From that.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I said something the other day, that if you ever leave a session that's coaching, and you leave flat or down or negative, in my experience, and I'm happy to have this debated, of course, that's not what coaching is. I said, and you should never have that. So, because I think it was working on coaching relationship with somebody, how do I help my client, and I leave very flat, and I leave it's negative, and I was like, well, that's just not the client for you then. That's not what coaching is, and I think that the real, I'm not saying it's going to be buzzing every time. It's sometimes it is quite hard and challenging. It's very draining for points. Some people say they coach for 6 hours a day. I don't know how they do it. Invest so much in somebody. And you need to have that time like yourself. You've answered actually lots of the questions that I tend to ask at the end of the podcast. I do, but really interested in self-development. What maybe 2 or 3 books would you share with people if they're wanting to get into self-development and don't know where to start?
Okay, I would say, I forgot the name of it. The David Goggins one.
Can't hurt me.
Yeah, I absolutely, that book for me, just, I don't know, that just really worked for me. This sort of story that of his life, really, and what he's been through. He's just a genius. I'd say that one.
I think you have to be ready to listen to that one, because if you listen to it or read it, because and what I mean by that is that he says some stories that you think are just not possibly true, and I think that you have to just understand and take, this guy's a different level. Like people in life, you think like inspirational leaders will look at in the past, King, whoever, Ali, loads of different people, Princess Diana. It's like it's charisma and it's different things they have. He's just got something about him, that David Goggins. It's just absolutely like the story. I just was like, I can't believe. I remember that one about the part where he was doing like the pull-ups and things, and that story was just phenomenal. So yeah, absolutely love that one. What else?
Yeah, it's mesmerizing. I would say The Alchemist. Have you read that one?
Yeah.
I love that. That for me, it's like
and
what's the other one I had then? I've just had one. It was just gone up my head. Alchemist. And can I swear on this, by the way? The book. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I absolutely love that.
It's really funny. I was talking to someone because I have a buddy who we read books and share like what's our free takeaway, etc. So at the moment he's smashing through the Tony Robbins money mindset one, and I'm just we're both struggling on it actually. But he's getting further ahead than I am, and I'm really struggling. I'm like, I'm going to give it up. And he's like, no. And I'm like, no. Something's up in life, and it's not working for you. We're having this debate. I hated it.
Did you?
Yeah, but I don't mean that disrespectfully.
No.
I didn't hate it. I actually reached out and spoke to the guy, Mark Manson, about it.
Okay.
I just found it too repetitive, and I was like, I just didn't get it. But what I loved from that is that you don't have to get everything, and you don't have to see. I think people become these junkies, self-development junkies as well, don't they? My mum calls me that all the time. So I think that is what I love is that what works for you might not work for me, but that doesn't matter, and it's
exactly
go for it and have a healthy debate about things as well.
100% of that. If I read that, I get it was a while ago when I read that, but if, like you were saying before about when you've done that post, if I read that book again now, I might have a different feeling on it, or something else might come up with that. And so if I read that, it could be different. And not every book or podcast or whatever it might be, it's not going to be for everyone. It's just taking little snippets, isn't it?
And again, I think this is where coaches get very stuck on, like when they're thinking of branding and everything, and like that comparison. Look, you've got to stop that, because one, your brand is your personality, it's you. Stop invest in bloody millions to do your branding. It's in my opinion, it's just crazy. Just that builds over time.
You're right.
I also think that you are you, and you can do exactly the same thing to a T as someone else, and be in completely different places, because it's you as a person. It's people pay for the coach. They want to have somebody that resonates, that they feel they've been there, they've done that can help them with them, with mentoring as well. So I think it's more than just the fact of I'm doing this and I'm not getting the output. There's more to it. So build relationships, connect with people, collaborate. Remember that word of mouth is underestimated nowadays. We just think it's putting a Google post up and paying for an ad and we're going to win. Yes, maybe, but there's other things you can do as well. And I think we need to be true and authentic to your craft and who you are as well.
100%.
What do you want to be known for?
I think just that I've impacted, not necessarily the world, but just being able to people to say, actually, he was, he had an impact on me in some way, a positive impact. I'd like to, kindness is one of my values. That is something that I always try to be kind to everyone. Just trying to be, just giving people a smile just to make their day, things like that. It's the little things for me, just being able to, however I can make someone's day or change the life through coaching, that may be as well. Just to say that I've give something back worthwhile, just be able to, for someone to say, actually, he made me, grow and just feel like I was actually good enough and capable of just, being true to myself, really. So, just like I said, it doesn't have to be worldwide impact, but just even if it's a few people, that's important to me.
I love that. I think you shine through with that in terms of kindness and loving what you do, and
Thank you.
I love that. It's great.
Thank you.
Share where people can find you, Jake.
So Instagram, even though I'm not really on there that much at the minute, it's Jake _Connolly _ that's on there. Or Facebook, just Jake Connolly. And yeah, they're probably the main places, I'd say. Facebook and Instagram there. I haven't got a website yet. That's something later down the line.
Well, look, best of luck on your journey, and thank you for your time.
Thanks very much, Natalie. Enjoyed that.
Thank you for listening to my podcast today. I really hope you've taken some value. If you would like to focus on achieving your purpose-driven goals, then reach out and share with me one thing that's going great for you right now and one thing that you're really struggling with. Let's see if or how I can help you to leverage your business to make more money, make an impact, and have more freedom. As always, go take action, make an impact, and have a great day.